Welcome back to Speak Up Queen, the podcast where we empower, uplift, and celebrate women who have reclaimed their voices to inspire others. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to the remarkable guest, Tina Juretic. Tina is a Canadian author living in Vancouver with a deeply moving story of resilience and transformation. Raised in a strict, isolated environment, Tina faced the profound challenge of generational trauma and toxic relationships that nearly took her life. Yet, through her incredible courage and the guidance of a channeler, she embarked on a powerful healing journey. Writing her memoir became a path to forgiveness, not just for herself, but also for her abusers. Along the way, she gained profound insights into gaslighting, narcissism, and the importance of setting healthy boundaries. Tina's
Mhm.
mission is clear and inspiring to share her story with others who find themselves in similar situations, to shed light on the path to healing, and to empower others to move beyond survival into thriving. Get ready to be inspired, educated, and uplifted as Tina takes us through her journey of healing, spiritually, and transformation. Let's welcome Tina to Speak Up Queen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tina, what was the most challenging limiting belief you had to overcome, and how did breaking free from it help you reclaim your voice?
Oof, the most challenging belief. Hmm. Being raised by a narcissistic parent, if not both, uh, the programming that I received was a lot of emotional and mental abuse. And so one of my most challenging belief systems is on the outside, I would have told you I can do anything. But on the inside, I never thought I was good enough. There was always that voice in the back of my head that said, you'll fail at this. And that is probably one of the most challenging beliefs that I needed to break free from. Because here you are trying to manifest things on one hand, but if you don't believe you deserve it or you're good enough, it's really hard to also like put those two together, that on the outside, I deserve everything. And yet on the inside, there's that little voice in your head that is the programming you received as a child to tell you you aren't good enough. You will never be anything. You will never amount to anything. That was, I had many challenges, but that was the first one that I attacked. Yeah.
It is, it's just incredible how much strength it takes for us to those challenges to deeply ingrained beliefs and the courage it takes for us to break free from that belief. It's just um yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's just
You're
I
welcome.
I can relate to so many things. Can can you share a moment when someone's words or actions make you feel small and how you found the strength to rise above it?
Well, I had a million moments like that in my life again, since I'm a super strong empath, and my addiction was narcissists, if you will. That was my pattern. So I I don't actually know if there was moments in my life where I wasn't made to feel small. In every relationship I had, I was just ready to post yesterday. I haven't written a post in a little while because I've been in South Africa for the last 3 weeks, and I wrote one and I thought, someone asked me yesterday, what's the defining thing in your relationship to indicate you're in a toxic relationship? And I said to her, if you are constantly made to feel small, if you are constantly saying the words, I'm not going to do that because I just want to keep the peace. If you are the one always keeping the peace, then you're probably being beat down all the time. So for me, that was a bit constant, to be honest. Every relationship, whether they intended to or not, because some more than others, um, I constantly felt like I was being made to be small. In fact, one of my things was always, am I ever going to find someone bigger than me to date? Like, am I ever going to find someone that doesn't feel the need to make me smaller? How's it my fault that I'm this wonderful human being, right? My outer voice, this wonderful human being. And yet there I was only dating people who made me feel small. So where did that come from? Right? I don't know if that answered the question, but it was constant in my life. Constant.
I must say, when I met my husband, I was very lucky enough to meet my husband when I was 17 years old. And yes, and we also came from a very abusive childhood and things like that. And I was craving. I had this husband that was calm. He sometimes irritated me because he was so calm. He didn't want to fight. And I was every day, I was craving arguments because that is how I grew up. We argue and then we make up and then we speak. And I was like searching for things to arguing with him. So I can
Right.
relate so much because I was searching because as it was ingrained in our bodies that that's what we are, that's what we need, and that's how we will.
That's how we relate to each other. We're not communicating if we're not yelling at each other, right? If you're raised in that environment, whenever we have relationships with people, and especially those that we love, right? Partnership, if you will, we're not dating them, we're dating their inner child, right? It's the inner child. Someone explained to me once that if you have trauma in your childhood, and that could be big T or little t, right? We always focus sometimes only on big traumas, but there are many little traumas that make up a childhood as well, that program the way we think that the world should be, whether that comes from parents, relatives, society, being a woman, religion. There's so many influences, but if we have these traumas, and we do, then our inner child never grows up. They stay broken and lost in that trauma. And so your body, your physical body, grows into this adult, but your subconscious is still your inner child. So whenever you get in a fight with your loved one, with especially with a partner, it's the inner child that comes forward. The adult just takes a back seat, and the inner child is the one who reacts. So when you date someone, you're dating their inner child, whether you want to or not. And that is who's reacting. And we tend to all do one extreme or the other. We either run rage, which is what you were seeking, or we go silent, which is what your partner was doing, right? I was always a go silent person, like shut up now or you'll make it worse, because I always made it worse as a child. And I thought that was healthy. I would have always said to my partners, oh, you don't want me to speak until I've calmed down, because I'll be vicious. I have a silver tongue, let me tell you, like a snake. It can be like that, right? I got that from my father. Very good with words. I'm calming myself before I speak to you because I love you and I don't want to lash out. This was my dialogue I was giving to myself and to them. But in reality, that's not what was happening at all. This was me trying to understand why I do this, and I'm doing it to be healthy. And right, I think I'm being mature, but in reality, going silent when you're having an argument with someone is not maturity. It was my inner child reacting the way she always did. So until we heal our inner child and put them to rest so that the adult can drive the car, you're letting your child drive your car, is what's happening. This is how I had explained to me once, and it made so much sense. Yeah, and that's why we react the way we do. We're healed or we're unhealed, and we can be partially healed because we're always healing more and more and more, right? But it's like that inner child is the first one you need to kind of get at, because that's who's driving your life or your car, if you will,
Oh, I
until
love
you
it.
until you attend to it, right?
It is so, so true. Tina, what safety resources, spaces, or tools have been most impactful for your healing journey?
Oof. So my healing journey came hand in hand with writing my memoir, because that's what I was mandated. Not really, right? We're never told to do things, but it was like, this is your path. You kind of need to follow it. It feels like a mandate. I had my spiritual awakening at the same moment I was told, you're going to write this memoir. And the memoir was based on the fact that I had a really difficult childhood, but I blocked it too. I didn't remember it. I remembered the broad strokes enough to hate my parents, to be angry at them, to know they did lousy things. But whereas my sisters remembered every detail of where we lived, who used to be our friends, and I'd be like, you know, all that. Like, I was actually the weird one that couldn't remember. I have three sisters who remembered everything. And so, and yet here I was dating toxic. I couldn't seem to have a healthy relationship. So whether I remembered it or not was irrelevant. It was still driving my life. It was still controlling my life. So when I broke up with the last one and boom, I had a spiritual awakening at the same moment and was told, you're going to write this down and you're going to heal as you write, COVID hit like at that moment. And it's funny because when she said to me, I went to a channeler and she said, you're going to start writing, you're going to start October the 1st. She was very specific. And it's going to take you 2 years. And I was like, when the heck am I supposed to have time to do that? And she's like, don't worry, you'll find the time. My major job, I'm a tour director. I'm in tourism. As you can imagine, when the world shut down, everyone in tourism lost their jobs. I had nothing but time to heal. So it started with the writing, which I've heard my whole life, journal, journal, journal. And I'm like, yeah, journal. I never did it. My God, the power in journaling, it really is, good for you. And it really does open the mind to things that I had locked away. Um, but then I would write and write and write, and I would get writer's block. And then I'd go, I know what happened next. So why am I getting writer's block? And I would realize that that was my own soul going, slow down. You don't get to write anymore until you heal that. You need to heal that. All that you just wrote about. Yeah, no more writing, heal. And then I went, how? I had no idea how. And for the first time in my life, I opened up YouTube. I have never listened to podcasts or blogs or any of those things. Who had time for those things, right? I opened up YouTube and I just went, I don't even know what I'm looking for, but I need some help. And the right person would show up on that home page and I'd go, oh, that message, how do you hear your childhood? Well, that's exactly for me. And I would listen to that person and I'd be gobsmacked that the answers were right there that I was searching for. I started to do yoga to move the energy in my physical body because I understood mind, body, and spirit. I was already working on my mind by journaling and sort of living those things. I needed to learn meditation, and I really struggled with that because I've always had a very, very busy monkey mind. I mean, it took a couple of years before I started to calm them. I'm not even going to lie. I didn't do it right away. But I also was taught by those teachers to have grace with yourself, that even if your mind is still wandering, if you're listening to a meditation, because I do a lot of guided meditations because it helps to focus my mind on something, it's still doing the work, even if your mind is rumbling. So I gave myself that grace. And that's where I started journaling, yoga, meditation, and the rest kind of came as I needed it. Yeah, I had to be grounded through this process because when you're reliving your past and it's traumatic and there's nowhere to hide when you're writing a memoir, there is nowhere to hide. I wasn't just living by myself and super isolated. I was living with my demons and my ghosts, and they were coming back to haunt me. And I needed to figure out how to deal with that. And yeah, and I did. I asked the questions, and Spirit guided me and gave me the answers when I needed them. I operated a lot on faith in those days. Faith that I wouldn't go broke, faith that I had the courage to write this memoir, faith that I was doing it with the right attitude, not to hurt people or to out them, but really to show how childhood trauma relates to your relationships and how you cannot escape this. And until you heal that, it's just going to be the guiding force in your life. And it's almost like I used my story as a case study to show beginning, middle, and hey, here's also where I woke up and found some answers, was the idea.
Well, congratulations. I am looking forward to reading that book.
Thank you.
What was the first step you took to move from feeling silence to finding your voice, and how did that step change your life?
Well, writing a memoir pretty much outs any voice that you didn't have before, that's for sure, because I'm literally an open book at this point. But I also started, honestly, finding my voice for me meant putting down boundaries. As I started to heal and realized I had so many boundaries with the public because I've always worked with the public. I had boundaries even with friends. But when it came to men, my relationships, apparently there were no boundaries. they were allowed to run roughshod off of me because I was really good at making excuses for other people bad behavior, because this is what I'd done my whole life. So part of finding my voice and really speaking it was putting down some boundaries. And that happened during COVID, when people in my life that should not have forgotten that I existed kind of did. And I let them have it for the first time, probably ever, really let them have it. And they apologized and it made a bit of a difference. And I went, yeah, I'm allowed to say no. And that's a full sentence. First of all, I don't have to explain myself. And I also started to remove people from my life that were not serving me anymore. Those were my boundaries. And that's when I really started speaking my voice. I've never been shy about speaking my opinion, that's for sure. Sometimes maybe too much. But I'm so much more grounded now, and it's coming from such a place of healing instead of being triggered. And that's a big difference too. Yeah.
What's one powerful lesson you've learned about self-worth? And how do you carry it with you as you continue to grow and inspire others?
So, as we talked about with your first question, that inner voice of mine was incredibly strong. Um, that I would never succeed. I like went to school to become a theater major, and I was really good at it. And yet, with every audition, probably somewhere in the back of my mind, I didn't think I was good enough. You know what I mean? I used to be a jazz singer. I was pretty good at it, but I always had that inner voice that told me I would never be good enough. And so it was always with me. And when I first started writing the memoir, because I started in chronological order in my life, because I didn't end up writing it that way, but it was the only way I knew how to start, because I've never written anything before. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just told, write this book. It's going to help people. You're going to heal while you do it. Other people are going to find healing. And that was really a driving force for me. And when you're finished, you're going to write a second book, and it's going to be a workbook to show how you healed so that other people can follow that. And I went, whoa, that's a lot. So when I first started writing, because it was about childhood, I understood that how broken my child was. I understood how I did not grow up in a safe environment, not only mentally and emotionally abusive, but incredibly physically abusive. And then throw in a religious cult on top of that. And it was pretty much just a mixture for, not a nice childhood. But I started healing her first, my inner child. That was step one. And one of the YouTubers I listened to early on spoke about reprogramming the computer chip that is your root chakra, if you will, which is where your inner child lives. So I really loved the concept of reparenting her the way she wasn't parented, with love, with safety, with feeling like you belong, feeling like your voice is allowed to be heard. First of all, right? I was silenced a lot as a child. And one of the things I was taught, so first of all, I journaled all of those things that I remembered from childhood, answered the questions, were you safe? Right? Because childhood is about being safe and loved and all of those things. I didn't have any of those things. So I journaled all about that. And then I reparented my child. I literally wrapped my arms around her in meditation, metaphorically, mentally. I don't know how some people do it literally, and told her, I love you. You're perfect exactly the way you are. I pretty much said the exact opposite of everything I heard as a child. You'll never be anyone. You're so fat. How are you so fat? God, that was the number one, thing that I heard as a child, about how fat I was. And I took every nasty thing that was ever said to me and I said the exact opposite as I hugged her and told her she was perfect. And then I wrote in lipstick on my mirror, you are beautiful. I love my body exactly the way it is. Like, I really put these positive affirmations that I tailored to my own, belief system that I knew was hanging out back there. And I listened to 30 days of positive affirmations while I was sleeping. And I thought, oh my God, I'm such an insomniac. This will keep me up all night. And then the other part went, you know what? COVID was a gift for you. Okay, you're not working and you're not making any money, and that's a little bit scary, but also you're not working right now. if there's any time that you're going to have 30 days to maybe not sleep so well because you're listening to positive affirmations, this is the time. And I learned to fall asleep to them, which I never thought would happen. They just became part of my sleeping pattern. And all three of those things made a massive difference. I still look in the mirror every day and go, "You're a damn gorgeous woman." Like, you know what I mean? Like, and people go, "Oh, so proud." It's like, no, that's not pride. This is the opposite of everything I was ever told. So this is me knowing, standing in my sovereignty, standing in my power.
Oh, I love it. I love it because I was 30 years old and I couldn't look myself in the mirror. I really couldn't look myself in the mirror. The woman that was looking back was I didn't like what I was seeing. So I know exactly. And I was like also starting with affirmations. I am beautiful. I am enough. And I was like, let me just talk to it. And then it started like, now I'm standing butt naked in front of you. Oh, I love you. I love your flaws. I love everything about you. And it's just like small steps in our lives or small steps that we can start doing in our daily lives. And it
Mhm.
doesn't need to be drastic. You can just start telling
Yeah.
yourself, I am enough. I am enough. And
And you might not even believe it when you first start doing it. Keep doing it.
yep,
You're brainwashing yourself. You were brainwashed as a child to believe you weren't good enough. Now you need to reprogram yourself on the other side, and you're worth it.
yep,
You're
definitely.
worth it. Yes.
Tina, if you could tell your 17-year-old self one thing, what would it be and why?
17-year-old self. What was I doing at 17? When I was 17, I had already left home and I was in high school, working 2 jobs, just trying to get through high school, right? Just to graduate grade 12. Um, what would I tell myself? I think I would have to go back to the childhood programming and just tell myself everything you learned in childhood is false and you can be anything you want to be and you will be anything that you want to be. Yeah, because she didn't think she was ever going to escape poverty, you know, those kinds of things. Yeah, life was a struggle. I would tell herself life is only a struggle when you make it a struggle. Right? When that's your belief system. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think I spoke to my mom yesterday and I said, Mom, you have the power to attract anything. As soon as you know the law of affirmation, the law of attraction, all of these, you can attract anything you want, but you as a person need to make that choice. You as a person need to
Yes.
make that choice. No one else can make it for you. And if you want to start your healing journey, do it for yourself. Don't do it for your husband, for your son, for your child,
Yeah.
for your parents, for anyone else except for yourself. Because otherwise, we are just putting another mask on, faking it till we make it. And there is no such thing of faking till you make it. You will
Yeah.
either have to go, especially in your healing journey, you're gonna cry, you are gonna get messy sometimes, you are gonna go back sometimes to that habits that was ingrained in you because
Yep.
it's a journey. It's
To
not
make you
like
learn
a
the lesson.
kick and you're done. So yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to learn the lesson the hard way, and our spirit needs to make sure we learned the lesson. So when you've done all this healing to not attract another narcissist in your life, and then all of a sudden this guy comes along and you go, "Ooh, he's beautiful." First of all, if you've really healed, you're going to recognize the narcissist so much faster just by the energy shift. But also, if you've truly healed, you change the frequency of the people that you invite into your life. For example, while I was in South Africa, we were flying to Zimbabwe. Is that where Victoria Falls is?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
want Zimbabwe. Sorry, no, I was just there. But when we got to the border, we had the wrong visa. And I was with a group of Canadians, and these two very narcissistic, very bully men yelled at me for 90 minutes and bullied me. And they knew I was powerless to do anything because this is oh my God, who lets you into the country? struggling with words today. Immigration.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get to argue with immigration. And for 90 minutes, they poured their rage and their darkness and their narcissism into me as I had to sit there taking it. It was so ugly. And then, bless you, I can see you sneezing. Then when it was finally over, I was with this group of people that I'm supposed to be very professional and very, and I had to like hold myself together, but I was shaking for 5 hours. 5 hours. Finally, at 9 o'clock at night, I was able to go to my room. And this happened, at noon or earlier. I was finally able to let it go. And I tried to wash it. I tried to flush it. I tried to cut cords. I'd been trying to do that for the last 5 hours while I was shaking, and I couldn't. And when I finally had a moment to sit down and I went, wow, this is really hitting me hard. What's going on here? And I went, oh my God, that was my parents. That was how they attacked me when I was powerless. Because if I'm out in the world and someone treats me like that now, and in the last 4 years since I've been healing, all I got to do is walk away. And I do. But I couldn't move because I was in immigration and I was stuck. And that's how I felt under my parents. I couldn't leave them when I was a small child. But I made that, instead of just sitting in that energy for weeks of just being a little bit depressed now, a little bit anxious, a little bit, you know what I mean? All the things that I was feeling, I recognized, because I've done so much healing, that was my childhood. And I was able to go, yeah, right. This is going to take more than cutting cords. And as I tried to go into meditation, I just started to bawl. And I didn't berate myself and go, oh my God, Tina, you've done so much healing around this. No, I actually understood that was how you heal.
Right.
I just let myself cry for 2 hours, and I let myself rage, and I went right back to childhood. And when it wasn't fair that I lived through that, I became the child again for 20 seconds. And then the adult, because I've done so much healing, went, okay, good, but childhood is gone. No one will ever treat you like that again. This was a one-off, but you knew what to do. You were triggered. You knew why. You immediately related it, instead of just being triggered all the time in this world, which is how we are when we're unhealed. I knew exactly what to do. And when it was over, I had let it go. And I finally felt fresh. I mean, I had just cried for 2 hours, so I looked like a disaster. But do you know what I mean? I was by myself in my room, and I did what needed to be done. And I just went, thank you for that trigger. Thank you for reminding me that I've come so far in my healing that I recognize my triggers. I relate exactly why they're a trigger, and I know how to heal them. That was obviously a little part that still needed to be healed. We never stop healing. So triggers are your friend. This becomes, your mantra when you're healing. Triggers are my friend. They're not there to hurt me or to how I react to them. That's showing me where the healing needs to still be done.
Yes. That is
Yeah.
like, it's like a file in your unconscious mind. It's like, I always tell my friends, when that memory comes up, your unconscious mind know that you are ready to heal that part. But
Yes.
it's still your decision. Are you going to file it back and suppress it for another 20 years? Or are you going to heal it now, while the file is open, put the approve button or the final button on it, close it and put it away? Because that's how we are tested. Because I said to my husband, I'm getting tested. It's like the universe is asking, Marika, how bad do you want this? And I'm like, I want this bad. And then something comes up and I'm like, oh, well, I've got all the resources, meditation, affirmations, but sometimes we go on because we are on our healing journey, and then life gets smooth, and then something like that happens, and then it's like, oh, it's time to use those resources that you and start going down again. So yeah, it's definitely amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Our souls guide our healing, and it knows what we need. We can keep ignoring the prompts, but they just get louder, right? Spirit knocks on the door.
Mhm.
It knocks again. It knocks and kicks a couple times. Then it just blows the damn house down. And we go, oh, how rude. Why did you have to destroy my life? It's like, because it's the only thing that gets your attention, right? So, but this is where, when we start healing, we start paying attention to all the little things and go, ooh, that triggered me. Why did that trigger me? Let's heal that.
Definitely.
And then the healing goes faster because you're not fighting it anymore. You can either, paddle upstream, or you can paddle with the flow of the water. That life is as easy or as difficult as you choose to make it, at some point, right? When we're children, maybe we don't have that choice, but you know what I'm saying.
Definitely. How do you set boundaries to protect your energy and peace? And what have you learned from this practice?
Mm. Oof, okay. That feels like a multi-layered question. So I now have boundaries of who I'm gonna let into my life. When I'm working, when I'm on tour, my guests that are on tour with me, your bosses and things like that. Okay, we have those people, are there. But I also don't let them talk to me. I won't stay in a job where someone talks to me like that anymore. These are my boundaries. Um, even a guest. I'm public service, but I have I have a line. You cross it, you're gonna know it. I'm gonna let you know it. I'm not gonna attack you because I'm still a professional, but you know what I'm saying? I will let you know you've crossed a line. When it comes to friendships, family, that's a whole different story. Honestly, if this is a one-sided relationship, I'm done. I am done. If it's a relationship that's draining me, if you only call me when you need something, I've already removed those people from my life. Not even that I removed them, it's that they fell away naturally. When you start living your true authentic self, living in your sovereignty, things fall away naturally. Then there's the other side of me that I've had to not put, well, I guess boundaries, more protection, if you will, is that learning how strong of an empath I am. I didn't understand this growing up. Who did? This is a newer thing, right? So many wonderful things are coming into the light these days that we have words to express these things that we didn't growing up, right? There was no words like narcissism or gaslighting or love bombing. Gen X didn't know those words, that we didn't have those words. It was put it in the closet, leave it there. That's where it belongs. Don't talk about that, right? Don't go to therapy. Therapy's for people, who are flaky. All these horrible things. So now that I understand that I'm a strong empath, I've learned some really powerful tools. First of all, I don't put myself in places that I don't want to be, even when it comes to traveling. For example, 2 years ago, I went to Cambodia and everybody on tour went to the killing fields. And I went, yeah, I'm not going there. But you're a history buff. Yep. Super history buff, super love hearing survival stories, super curious. My mind is, but my physical body has been for a week, knowing we're going to the killing fields in Cambodia and the S-21 prison, reacting to the energy that I will absorb if I go there. And I woke up that morning, the morning we're supposed to go, and I'm a guest. I'm a tourist. I'm not in charge of the tour, right? Otherwise, I have to go to these things. But I'm the guest, so I can choose. And I woke up that morning violently ill, out of nowhere. And I knew that was literally my body saying, do not go. And I went into meditation and I asked Spirit, should I go? And I got a hard pass. And that's a boundary I made for myself. I am not going to go to a place like that because I know energetically what that does to me. And I've learned those boundaries. I've also learned a couple mantras and an empath that have just, oh my God, saved me. Things like, for example, let's say you and I are having a conversation and we're good friends and something terrible has just happened for you. Your husband passes away, for example, and you're sad. And of course, I'm feeling all the love and empathy for you and I'm hugging my friend. And then when I get home from that conversation, I feel guilty if something makes me laugh, or if maybe my dog does something and I'm giggling. I go, oh God, but my friend is suffering so much right now. I have learned that that's okay. My friend is going through what she's going through, and I'm holding space for her and I'm giving her my love and my light. But that doesn't mean that I also have to be sad. And I've learned mantras like, this sadness I'm feeling right now is not mine. It belongs to my friend. I'm sending it back to her with love and light. And I'm giving myself permission to be happy. This is a boundary. And self-love. And it's okay. It doesn't make you selfish to do that. So these are some very different kinds of boundaries that I'm learning and executing. Oh my God, and what a difference it makes.
Yeah.
It does. It really does.
How do you stay grounded when challenges comes up now compared to before?
Whew. I would say before my spiritual awakening, I was controlled by my triggers. I'm a pretty large personality to begin with. I've always been a public speaker, an outspoken person, an artist, if you will. But my outbursts, because sometimes they were controlled by my triggers. And I had a lot of triggers without even knowing it. Bully. Oh, you just show me any kind of bully. That's a huge, massive trigger for me because I was raised by bullies. Treating someone else, especially if it's happening to someone else, watching someone treat an underdog or even anyone as a bully, that animals, harming animals, any of those things are huge triggers for me. And I would attack, verbally attack. Like I said, I got that gift of the gab, which is why when I would have fights, I thought being silent was actually helping the situation because I didn't want to say anything that I would regret because I have a good way of getting right to the heart of matter and saying things that'll really pierce. And that's not a good thing. I've, had to learn to control that. But meditation keeps me grounded. Oh man, I got to meditate daily. And I can tell when I'm on tour and I don't have time, because that happens a lot when I'm touring, I'm just so busy. As soon as 3, 4 days go by, I feel myself becoming ungrounded. I can feel it. I can feel myself getting a little stressed when something minor happens, and I go, really? Or maybe not minor because I'm not that person, but usually I can handle things so well when I'm grounded. I'm not handling them as well. Um, Walking in nature for me is vital because that is a meditation. That is grounding yourself in the earth mother, which is what we're trying to do when we meditate. So I've always been an outdoorsman, and if I don't get into nature every couple of days, I feel that as well. So meditation, yoga, and walking in nature. And if I can only do one of them, then that's enough. Preferably, I love all three, but who's got time for that, right? So, um, probably meditation is the first one to keep me super, super grounded. Yeah.
Um, I also go to sleep with meditation, but I put it loud so that my son can also hear it in his room. And on days when
Okay.
when I forget to put it on, he's like, "Mom, you forgot to put on the meditation." So
Oh, I love
it is like the whole household. We are meditation into bed, guided meditation to sleep. And it is just like sometimes when we were uh, like when my son has a little bit of a sadness or something like that, I put up meditation that's positive affirmations or imagine and visionary or things like that to just bring back that imagination as a child because we've all got these ideas and imagination that it's in here and sometimes we're so afraid to try it out because what would and now when you're on your healing journey you're like this is mine, I'm taking it on. Yeah, it's just I love it.
I also have gotten into the habit. I'm a music person. I have never watched the news in my life. Maybe 3 times in my life have I ever watched the news, and it was during big events, 9/11, those kinds of things. I hate the news, always hated it. Didn't even know why it depressed me. That was really my reason as a child. So I've always been a music person. I don't wake up and flip on the news like people do. I've always put on music. But even in the last 4 years, I've stopped listening so much to rock music, whatever I enjoy. I've started to throw on YouTube again and listen to like 432 hertz with these. Like right now, I have this beautiful forestry scene on there. If I can't walk in the forest, I can at least look at it. There's butterflies flapping in the background, the water is flowing, and there's the most beautiful, calming music. Gosh, this just honestly, all day long, this is all I will listen to. And it just has such a calming effect. What, sound, vibration, this is what makes change in the world. So listening to that while I sleep. I listen to that while I sleep now, from someone who was such an insomniac. I didn't even want to listen to positive affirmations. Now I can barely sleep without the music going on in the background. I love it. It makes a really big difference. Yeah.
Definitely. How do you define thriving today, and what mindset shifts or practices helped you embrace that definition?
Oof. How do I define thriving? I'd say before I started really working on my healing, again, because I was controlled by triggers, I was in survival mode. I was surviving. And I always felt like a lot of bad things were thrown at me, just things that were out of my control, even not even just the people I dated, but there'd be a flood and everything I owned got destroyed that was in storage. Like there always seemed to be these massive, massive things. I felt like I was surviving. Now that I'm healed and I know that I am alchemizing and making my own decisions and manifesting the beauty that I want in my life, now I'm thriving. And I don't define thriving by success either. I define it by how I feel. My whole life, if you would have asked me, what do you want from life? I would have said inner peace. And I said that a billion times in my lifetime. What do you want for your birthday? I want peace. Like I understood that I didn't have any inner peace, even though I couldn't define it. All I wanted was peace on the planet, within myself, within my home. I just wanted peace. Now I have peace, and it emanates through me, out of me, into other people. That's thriving for me.
I
Yeah.
love it. I really do, because that is something that um this podcast is all about. It is just like it's not about money or anything. It's about the impact, the legacy, the safe space that we can. It is like yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's just like, yeah, it's just amazing. This.
I love that we live in a time where we can have these conversations, and I don't care if anyone thinks I'm a weirdo. I don't care. I don't care. I live in my truth. And that's also thriving. Will you stop caring about what other people think about you? I mean, I used to listen to some woo-woo people and go, okay, that's really out there. I always say I had one foot in spiritualism for the past 20 years because it's what I was ready for and it's what I understood. And the rest I'd go, oh, you're a bit woo-woo. Now I'm the woo-woo. And you know what? Bring it on. I love it. I don't care because there's so many people out there that will hear this podcast, that will hear you speaking, that will read my memoir, that will find the peace that they're seeking as well. And we're in such this beautiful place on the planet right now where there's more and more of us out there, and there are more and more podcasts, and there are more and more answers. That was also part of why I only had one foot in for 20 years. I read the Celestine prophecy and it went, and then I never found anything after that that really spoke to me. So, okay, I understood how we steal energy and la la la, but I didn't know how to stop it or control it or cut cords. I understood it, but I was still doing the bad thing. That was my experience in life. But you know what I'm saying? Like it takes, when you're ready, your soul is going to give it to you, and it's going to tell you when you're ready. Like, when you start asking the right questions, ready or not, here it comes, spiritual awakening. And I love that. I do, because now we can turn to YouTube. I turned to YouTube to get the answers. That wouldn't have happened 20 years ago. And there were the answers I needed from people that were reputable. Sure, there's still a lot of people out there that I think are false, um, but more and more it's becoming more accessible to find the right answers and things that are, if it really resonates in your heart, it's the right answer for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if you're listening to someone going, I don't know about this, then maybe that's not the person for you, right? Find the person that you go, oh my God, this makes sense. And not because they're saying the message you want to hear, right? Because we can lie to ourselves, you know what I'm saying? But because what they're saying, you're like, oh my God, that is me. Oh, I do that. Oh, whoa, yep, there's something here. That's the person, that has a message for you.
And you feel it in your body. You feel it really in your body. Your body is like, you can,
Yeah,
I feel like, yeah,
shivers, tickling on the head. Everyone has something different, right?
yeah. It
Absolutely.
is, it's,
We've stopped listening to our bodies. That's part of the problem, right?
yeah,
When we start to listen to, we think, how come there's no answers? It's like, oh no, the answers are there. We've forgotten.
yeah.
We've been so conditioned to stop listening to the answers. Once we start to listen again, and it takes a minute again, these are not things that happen overnight, but all of a sudden you go, oh my God, my body is literally telling me when I feel anxious, when that person speaks and I go, I don't like anything you're saying, or when I just get like a heebie-jeebies from that person, it's like, oh, that is some darkness over there. Or when someone speaks and you just go, oh my God, I'm just feeling like this love washing over me, right? Like we need to start listening to the signs.
Now the last question. What made you decide to be featured on Speak Up Queen? And how does it feel knowing that there's a safe space for women to share their stories and inspire others?
Well, I saw your advertisement looking for people to come speak on your show. I loved it that, my book is called Finding My Sovereignty. So when you said Speak Up Queen, I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm a queen. That's right. I love that we're empowering women. Not that I don't think men need to be empowered, but we've been living under a patriarchy for so long. And patriarchy affects everyone, not just women. It affects men that don't fit into this mold of patriarchy as well. It affects all of us. But I love that we're creating this space for women who have been squashed down for so long to speak up, speak your voice, use your voice. Don't be afraid. Don't make yourself small anymore. Be loud, be proud, be, be the voice, be the change you want to be in the world. I love that you're promoting that. I love that you're doing that. And yeah, I'm new to podcasts. This is only the third one I've ever done. And it stemmed because I wrote the memoir and I wanted to obviously get the word out there, but I'm really also just enjoying the journey and just like whether you read the book or not, like just let's get the word out there to just stand in our sovereignty and to be okay with the process of getting there too.
Yes.
Right, and we can share with each other as women, as humans, as people. Doesn't matter where you come from, we're all here trying to have this human experience, and we can learn and love and grow from each other.
Definitely. Well, Tina, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us today. Your story is a testament to the strength, resilience, and courage it takes not to only heal, but to thrive. So, to everyone listening, remember that your voice matters, your story matters, and together we can inspire change. If today's episode touched your heart, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, Queen, keep speaking up and step into your power.